Happy New Year, gang. Come on in, pull up a chair. The Gaming Gang Dispatch is in the air. Yes, Happy New Year, gang, and welcome once again to the Duct Tape Studios. I'm Jeff McAleer, your host, here at the Gaming Gang Dispatch, brought to you by, interestingly enough, thegaminggang.com, of which I happen to be the founder and editor-in-chief. So, welcome aboard, everyone. It is a brand new year. Tonight is Tuesday, January 6th, 2026, and this is live stream 1272. Wondering how many times I'm going to mess up and say 2025. Hopefully not too many times. We shall find out. If you're not familiar with this show, let me point out it's super casual around here. Just hanging out, talking about the latest in tabletop gaming news, and I will normally share a first look at a game. More often than not, it is a role-playing game release, and that is the case tonight, because we're going to dive on in and take a first look at the brand new 13th Age 2nd edition Hero's Handbook from Pelgrane Press. And we were going to dive on into that after we tackle the tabletop gaming news. Yes, that's something else you want to keep in mind. If you're not familiar with the show, we always tackle the tabletop gaming news first. So it'll probably be maybe 40 minutes before we get on into our first look. So if you're watching live, just kick back, put your feet up. We'll get to it. We'll get to 13th Age. You'll be fine. If you are watching this after the fact, in fact, 30 minutes or more after the stream has ended, there will be show note timestamps. So they're located in the show notes, or depending on what device you might be watching this on, could be right there in the timeline of the video. So if you want to jump past the news and get right on into the first look, you can certainly do that also. Of course, when you're not watching videos on the Gaming Gang channel, be sure to visit gaminggang.com for all the latest in tabletop gaming news, reviews, and a whole lot more you are not going to find here on YouTube. You know the drill. Get your geek on at thegaminggang.com. And then, of course, because this is a live stream, there is chat available. Now, you must be a subscriber to the channel for at least an hour before you can take part in chat. But if you check off that box and you want to say howdy, maybe get a question, a comment, by all means, chime in, and I will do my very best to respond. First out the gate tonight is Semper Buffo. Kevin R. Smith is with us, as is Kathy Evans. So, hello. We might even have the lovely and talented Miss Sarah D lurking in the shadows as one of our chat moderators. I'll take a guess. Tonight's chat will probably be kind of quiet, simply because I haven't done a show since, what was it, the 22nd? So I'm sure many people have forgotten about the stream, or they've forgotten that it's returning tonight, which is okay. And yes, Sarah D is hanging with the gang tonight, as is Tessie Trekkie chiming on in. Very nice. Very nice. Hey, a week from tomorrow, I'll be in Philadelphia for the Philadelphia Area Gaming Expo. I am a special guest. I'll actually be doing some interviews in the mornings for Paige. In fact, from 10 a.m. till 12 p.m., I am manning the live interview booth, and I've already scheduled to talk with Mike Shea, who is the Sly Flourish, the lazy DM. I'm finally going to get an opportunity to talk with Kelsey Dion. I get to interview Darlene, who was, if I remember correctly, I think she was the first female employee of TSR and actually did the cartography for the Greyhawk map, among many, many other things. So out of the 4 days, I have 30-minute, blocks where I'm talking with people. And I still have 4 open blocks as of this minute. I'm trying to get Andrew from Exalted Funeral on, even though they're really not an exhibitor. I think I could probably squeeze him in, but it looks like our schedules are going to conflict. So Kevin R. Smith says the map is even called the Darlene map by fans. I believe that. I certainly believe that. Mike is with us tonight, as is Keith Ulhu. So we got a few people popping on into chat. All right. So without further ado, let's dive on into the news, because the Castle Automatic for His Majesty the Worm is available for pre-order from the aforementioned Exalted Funeral. Here's what I know. The Castle Automatic's Great Gears sat still for an age. Now His Majesty the Worm has begun the machines again. A reason to explore. 4 magical artifacts are locked inside the castle. Each is powerful enough that the factions of the city would give anything an adventurer wanted to get their hands on one. Also, adventurers can meet mentors to learn all new talents. A reason to breathe easy. GMs have a lot of conveniences, handouts, maps, and indices to make running as easy as possible. A reason to experiment. The Castle Automatic's magical engines are broken. Adventuring guilds can repair them to change its seasons, the weather, and day-night cycle to overcome different challenges and unlock new sections of the dungeon. A reason to talk. The dungeon is controlled by competing factions of golems, ancient giants who once ruled this place, and the otherworldly vampires who stole it from them. A reason to fight. The module contains fully illustrated combat zones with new creatures and dungeon lords, including a wyvern, a shape-shifting vampiric hierophant, and 4 mechanical kings. A reason to be surprised. Illustrated puzzles and traps let enterprising players balance risk and reward as they explore 5 interconnected levels. And there's a reason to return. With over 100 rooms, there's plenty of content to sustain an entire campaign of His Majesty the Worm. The approximately 150-page A4-sized hardcover with PDF can be pre-ordered for $30. Expected delivery is going to be this summer. And I think the files are close to being ready to go to the printer. And it's also my understanding that once those files are ready to go to the printer, those who pre-ordered this will receive that PDF. So you're not going to have to wait until the summer to get the PDF. Interesting. Yes. I'm kind of curious about His Majesty the Worm, although it uses tarot cards. And I don't know what it is, but I'm not saying anything about His Majesty the Worm, but I have yet to actually run across a role-playing game that utilized tarot cards that I actually really liked. I don't know. So when I see something uses tarot cards, right away I'm sort of like, okay. Watch is actually fantastic. Don't know. I don't know. All right, let's see. Troy Cornelson is with us in chat. Welcome. Next month is going to bring a remastered edition of Dark Archive for Pathfinder. I've got the lowdown from Paizo Inc. From the Fringes, the Unknown Beckons. Pathfinder Dark Archive Remastered contains secrets that any player or GM can use to reveal the paranormal lurking in their Pathfinder games, all updated to work perfectly with the remastered Pathfinder 2nd Edition rules. This spine-tinglingly secretive 224-page hardcover, that doesn't roll off the tongue there, presents 2 new character classes, perfect for delving into the unexplained. Unleash the untold power of your mind as the psychic, or leverage supernatural secrets and mystic implements as the thaumaturge. Beyond these new classes, 8 secret case files each provide player options, GM tools, and lore into a different paranormal topic, including cryptids. Yes, strange creatures glimpsed in the night, gear to track them, and the powers you might gain by surviving an encounter with one. Cults and esoteric belief, with apocryphal divine magic and the secret of becoming a living vessel for an eldritch being. Temporal anomalies, with archetypes that skim along the surface of time, and a new mystery for oracles unbound from causality. Each file concludes with a short adventure to immerse players in the paranormal, spanning across Galarian. Play all 8 to uncover the inexplicable phenomena of the Age of Lost Omens. The 224-page hardcover will carry an MSRP of $64.99 when it arrives in stores on February 4th. I have to say, the first review copy I received from Paizo Inc. was the original Dark Archive for 1st edition Pathfinder, and I had to laugh. I remember I got a copy of it, and I thought to myself, what am I supposed to do with this? Because I didn't have any Pathfinder books or anything like that. I was like, okay, alrighty. Pete Strakulich, spelling mistake, and Scott Lazares are with us tonight, so welcome aboard. On to our next news piece. Raging Swan Press and Bundle of Holding have teamed once again for a money-saving offer on the Dread Thingonomicon. Here's the deets on the deal. Adventure! The October 2024 Thingonomicon bundle has been resurrected, presenting for a special promotional price the complete 476-page The Dread Thingonomicon Compendium from Raging Swan Press, with system-neutral lists for every overworked game master of tabletop fantasy role-playing games. These 73 chapters, compiling hundreds of tables Raging Swan published in 7 years of its 20 Things line of mini supplements, give you the tools to add flavor and detail to any fantasy RPG session. For just $7.95 for the fully bookmarked 476-page Dread Thingonomicon, which has a retail value of $28, you get the DRM-free PDF in 2 versions, one optimized for printing, the second for screen reading. You'll also get all 73 chapters as separate text files. And if you're curious, there is a 54-page Thingonomicon sample, which is absolutely free. So you can take a peek at that, see if it kind of fits your needs. These savings will run through January 14th. It wasn't that long ago. Well, I guess it was. It was over a year. I was going to say, it wasn't that long ago that this first popped out, but I guess October 2024. It just seems so much more recent than that. Pretty wild. Reading Aid is joining us tonight. Looks like chat's filling up a little bit. Very nice. Next month is supposed to see the arrival of The Darkest Woods. Here's a skinny from Monte Cook Games. The woods watch you as you wander, lost among the trees. The woods don't care. Do not mistake the forest quietude for mercy, nor its shadowed depths as denser versions of these pleasant shadows. For to venture deeper is to become lost within the ancient chambers of the forest's dark heart, where twisted and sinister things dwell. The woods see you isolated, lonely, and in terrible danger. The woods don't care. Beware the mythic witches, horrific monsters, hateful spirits, cannibalistic cultists, oh my, and bears. There you go. And bears, oh my. Now I just threw that in. But there are other dangers that have always called these darkest woods home. The backwoods and its truly twisted inhabitants will test the mettle of any who find themselves lost within its dusk, dark, twisted paths. The woods are ancient, eternal, and vast. Infinite? You are small and brief, hardly worth noting to the woods. Do not imagine the woods will show you mercy. The woods don't care. Discover why humanity has always feared the wilderness in this horror experience for the game you're playing now. Do not mistake the forest's quietude for mercy. Once again, The Darkest Woods is a system-agnostic horror experience that seamlessly integrates into your existing campaigns, no matter what game you're playing. Take your players on an epic and unexpected subplot and chill them to their cores. Unforgettable encounters will shake even the most battle-hardened characters, all while life-altering challenges will forge richer characters, deeper motivations, and more powerful party bonds. The woods and its sinister inhabitants will test the mettle of any who wander its dusk, dark paths. Find out who you are and what you're made of inside of the darkest woods. This hardcover, I don't have a page count, sadly enough. I think it's probably around 250. It's going to carry an MSRP of $54.99 when it arrives in stores, which is slated to be in February. Now, you might recall I shared a first look at The Darkest House, and there were a lot of interactive elements to it. And it looks like we've got the same thing here. It looks like we've got a lot of quick response codes for you to access for different special effects and such. Scatty kids, scatty. Should mention I'll be talking to Sean K. Reynolds at the Philadelphia Area Gaming Expo. He has done some work for Monte Cook Games. In fact, he's one of the authors of Neon Rain, which I reviewed during the 12 days of reviews. Hopefully you were able to catch those. Plenty of them. So even though I was on a bit of a holiday break, you were still getting videos. You folks are spoiled. I swear. Spoiled. That's why I don't have all that many views, because all my viewers are spoiled and they don't show up. Let's see. Wallona's Cave and Reading Aid are hanging with the gang. Oh, no, I'm sorry. I already said Reading Aid. It was W Forge. I saw it pop in. See, look at that. Reading Aid got a shout out twice. It's two mints in one. All right. Our final news piece, now available in PDF over on DriveThruRPG, is Dark Dungeons Delvers. And I've got the scoop. You know what? I forgot to put down the creator here. It's like a super kind of long name. It's like Hell Diver. I'll pull it up. All right. Anyway, ready to crawl a dungeon solo? Whether your usual referee couldn't make it or you're at home alone and looking for a solo adventure after finishing all your game books, this system allows you to dive right into the action. Dark Dungeons Delvers is simple and immediate. Its structure centers on a script model designed specifically for quick setup, easy personalization, and straightforward sharing or swapping among friends or fellow players. The script guides the character through the foray, dynamically generating the dungeon environment as you progress. This keeps gameplay surprising and engaging, allowing great replayability of each DDD. You'll find inside the rules for generating dungeons within the Dark Dungeon Delve framework. 2 dungeons to get you playing straight away and to use as models while creating your own. Moon Tears and Hell's Gate. This 26-page PDF is available over at DriveThruRPG for $3.99. I thought it sounded kind of interesting. Tell you what, give me a second. I will pull up the creator of this. Watch, I won't be able to track it down. Of course not. Why would life be easy for me here? Why would we do that? I tell you. All right. It is Hellwinter Forge of Wonders. I've shared news from them before. That's why I kind of recognize the kind of strange name. I think it was Tales Forlorn that I shared news about not too long ago. Hey, $4 over at DriveThruRPG. Solitaire fantasy role-playing game. Might be worth checking out. Maybe. Mark Hawkswell is with us tonight. Welcome. Mike said Jurassic Park ruined the woods for them. It's the raptors. They're out there. Of course. But yes, Reading 8 said they're very special because I gave them a shout out twice. Well. All right. So that is it for the news tonight. Of course, I just mentioned DriveThruRPG. Don't forget, the Gaming Gang, thus the Dispatch, is affiliated with the One Bookshelf sites. So if you're going to visit DriveThruRPG, Storyteller's Vault, Dungeon Masters Guild, Wargame Vault, any of the multitude of One Bookshelf sites, please stop by thegaminggang.com first. Click on one of our banners. That way, if you happen to make a purchase, I get 5% of that sale. And all those nickels, dimes, and quarters really do add up to keep thegaminggang.com around month in and month out. Since I am talking about DriveThruRPG, I should also mention that they have kicked off their New Year, New Game sale. You can save up to 75% off. And I know a lot of times the bigger discounts are on some starter sets in PDF. So if you're kind of curious about maybe checking out a new game system and you dig PDFs, by all means, take a peek at the New Year, New Game sale. And of course, if you enjoyed the Gaming Gang, there are a few other ways for you to support the outlet. First, by utilizing our, of course, affiliate links to DriveThruRPG, as I just mentioned. You can also make a one-time donation by way of PayPal. Hell, you can buy me a 2-liter bottle of soda. Yum, 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 yum. Or you can become a monthly member of our Patreon. Yes, you can become a monthly member of our Patreon. And of course, you'll find links to all of that down in the show notes. Also down in those show notes, you're going to find an invite link to our Discord server. Absolutely free to sign up. So be sure to hang with the gang over on Discord. Hooray! So it's pretty wild. We had a holiday break. I was off for a bit. Got to recharge my batteries a little bit. I wasn't just sitting around doing nothing. So you probably caught some of the Gaming Gang 12 days of reviews. So I did 10 reviews, and Sammy contributed a couple of Pathfinder reviews, including the review for the finale to Paizo Inc.'s monthly Pathfinder Adventure Paths, number 221. All over. All right, so there's some discussion of various different dinosaurs in Jurassic Park, including the one that spits paralytic poison in your face. Yeah, I thought that one was pretty creepy myself. I was like, oh, that's not good. No, that's not good at all. All right. So tonight we are going to dive in. We are going to take a peek at the brand spanking new 13th Age 2nd edition Hero's Handbook from Pelgrane Press. We'll be taking care of that in just a few moments. But first, I think it's time for a brief intermission.
It's intermission time, folks. Time out for a delicious snack in our sparkling refreshment building. Every item a fresh, appetizing taste treat.
Well, you see what I get from the refreshment counter. Oh, boy, popcorn and candy bars and ice cream and, oh, boy, sparkling ice-cold Coca-Cola. Oh, boy, that tastes good. Have you been to the refreshment counter?
Remember, your favorite snack will taste especially good with world-famous ice-cold Coca-Cola.
As soon as we can, let's flick our Bix.
That's all you ever want to do, but it's against the rules. And anyway, I'm hungry.
Now that you mention it, something to munch on will go great with the flick.
Just bring plenty of popcorn, soft drinks, and candy. Yum.
Are you sure that'll last you through the entire flick?
Maybe not. So order large size of everything and get doubles.
Oh, gosh.
It's okay. The intermission's coming up. You won't miss a thing.
Yesterday is today. Men and women have found a wonderful way of life in our own Cascades. See the Cascades, bright and snow-topped, where the cool streams bubble through the trees, down to valleys warm and friendly, green fields ripening in the breeze. From the Cascade Valley harvest comes the beer, cool and bright as the mountain glades. For a blitz, you'll know the pleasure of the life in a great Cascade. Pour yourself a glass of the Cascades. Blitz.
Give me the eggs and no Wilkins coffee. Give him the eggs, boys. A meal without Wilkins is a mess.
I'm Vincent Price. You're invited to my party in the house on Haunted Hill, where so far the ghosts have murdered only 7 people. So won't you come and make it 8? There'll be food and drink and ghosts for all, and perhaps a few murders, perhaps yours. The ghosts are waiting, so won't you join me in the house on Haunted Hill? Hurry, or you'll be late for your own funeral.
Oh, yeah. Good, scary stuff. You know, it's kind of funny. Here comes a spoiler. In case you've never seen the house on Haunted Hill. It really is haunted. So Vincent Price is trying to... okay, so he's trying to trick people into thinking it's haunted. And then it turns out it really is. It's actually... It's a decent movie. I mean, it's worth a watch. I mean, granted, okay, it's no Last Man on Earth. Sorry to say. But it is, it's an entertaining watch. W. Forge says they like the Liam Neeson remake. I don't recall if I saw the remake or not. And I see DB's with us tonight. Says they used to be obsessed by the poster for that movie. Hey, how many of you used to have like a film memorabilia kind of like store anywhere near you? When I was in Chicago, there used to be one, I want to say it was called Metro Golden Memories. And they actually were the sponsor of an old time radio show that was on like on Saturdays. And used to go and they would have, you know, movie posters and they would have stills, you know, from the films and stuff like that. And, you know, it was wild. And it wasn't all like old stuff. I mean, they had like stills from like black and white stills from Star Wars. And I remember picking some of those up. It's wild how things like that nowadays, people are like, meh. W4 says, I think it was called The Haunting. Then that was a remake of The Haunting of Hill House. That was the Shirley Jackson novel, which is awesome. The 1960s movie is actually really good too. But yeah, that's not the House on Haunted Hill. Two completely, one is kind of a B movie and the other is legitimate film, I guess we would say. DB says they had a shop called the Hollywood Canteen. They saw the poster in a book of horror films by Dennis Gifford. Nice. Spelling mistake says, holy stills, I couldn't get Crosby or Nash? No, and Young said, couldn't do it. All righty. So tonight, we're going to dive on in. We're going to take a look at the 13th Age 2nd Edition Hero's Handbook from Pelgrane Press. This is written by Rob Heinzu and Jonathan Tweet. Hopefully I pronounced Rob's name correctly. This 350-page hardcover, although I've also heard it's 348 pages, so we're going to find out for sure as we take a peek, is part of a slipcase set. You can get, it's the Hero's Handbook, the Game Master's Guide, and a Game Master's screen. Carries an MSRP of $129.95. Now, if you want to just get this hardcover alone, it carries an MSRP of $59.95. I do believe it does come with the PDF if you're ordering from Pelgrane Press. Speaking of PDF, you can score that over at DriveThruRPG for $34.95. Swing on over to the other camera because here I've got the Hero's Handbook for the new edition of 13th Age. So here is the slipcase. Now, I think this is a slipcase that may have been available through crowdfunding because it contains the Hero's Handbook and then the Game Master's Guide, which we're going to take a look at the Game Master's Guide on Thursday's show. I know you're probably thinking, wait, what? Aren't we going to take a look at that tomorrow? No, we'll put another item in between these two. But There is no Game Master screen in here. So, like I said, I think this was a special slipcase for crowdfunder backers who got both the books. I think that might be the case here, because I even went over on Pelgrane Press. I did not see that slipcase I just showed you. The slipcase set that they're selling does also have the Game Master screen. Why am I having such a hard time saying Game Master screen? Jeez, the Game Master screen, for crying out loud. Actually, I should mention a few things before we dive on in. First of all, the fine folks over at Pelgrane Press were kind enough to provide me with this review copy, but neither I nor anyone else affiliated with the Gaming Gang has received any other sort of compensation for me to share this first look with you. It's important you know that. We're also not going to look at each and every page of the book. I do want to give you a pretty good feel for what you're going to find inside. I have always heard good things about 13th Age, so I am very curious about this second edition of 13th Age. Although I have heard some grumbling, I'll talk about that as we're flipping on through, but I think it's more, it has more to do with people saying, hey, you know what? The first edition of 13th Age, it was one book. So I only had to buy one book. Now this new edition, I have to buy two books. So the world won't save itself. Living dungeons rip up from the depths. Flying realms crash to earth. Dark overlord seize ancient thrones, and the empire's protectors stumble. It's time for your heroes to answer the call. 13th Age is a new, improved edition of the D20 rolling fantasy game of unique heroes, gripping combat, group storytelling, and high adventure. Each of the 9 different character classes has its own advantages and playstyle. Some are simpler, ideal for newcomers, while others have many more options for play. Your character's one unique thing ensures no one else in the Empire is quite like them. Alliances and enmities with icons such as the Archmage, Lich King, and Prince of Shadows give your hero a place in the world story from the first session. Then it talks about what's inside the book. Well, we're going to take a peek ourselves. W. Forge says, well, I like the 13th Age game. We're starting to feel a bit of D20 system / OSR related game fatigue. I can understand that. Thing is, nobody's perfected it yet. So just think about that, right? How many D20 role-playing games are there? What's fantasy role-playing games? Regardless if they skew OSR or not. Lots. And we haven't found one yet that's absolutely perfect. Found some that are 10 out of 10s, though. That's for sure. All right, so this is the Dragon Empire. And I guess we have different factions ruling different areas. All right, first thing we're going to do is take a peek at the credits here. In fact, we have 2 pages of credits. Let's make sure we give credit where credit is due. Kevin R. Smith says, the biggest drawback with 13th Age as far as they're concerned is little or no support, at least in the core rules, for making your own setting. Well, I wonder. All right, looks like we're getting some thank yous to the backers here. Oh, looks like we had a lot of backers. We get an open game license. So this still utilizes the OGL. Well. All right, so our table of contents, we've got an introduction. Chapter 1 is going to be an example of play. So it looks like we get 15 pages of that example. That's kind of interesting that we're going to start right off with a 15-page example of play. Chapter 2, character creation. Chapter 3 is kits. Oh, no, I'm sorry, kin. Like, where the hell did I get kits from? Classes, chapter 4. And then we get into Chapter 5, Unique Heroes. Chapter 6, Icons and Icon Connections. Chapter 7, Combat Rules. So, don't we have other rules outside of combat? What do you think? Kevin R. Smith says, Jeff will probably love 13th Age because its combat system is designed for theater of the mind, which is a big plus for them as well. I don't know. I got to be honest, and I'm not saying anything about this. I have run across some role-playing games where their combat mechanics were aimed at theater of the mind, and they didn't work for me. I think because, to me, I have to have at least a little bit of tactical representation to combat. And sometimes we'll just get games where it's like, oh, well, you roll your dice, you hit, you do damage. That's it. That's all you're doing. It's like, no. All right. 13th Age aims to blend what are sometimes thought of as opposing gaming styles. Story. Game masters get a familiar feeling world designed to be customized for each campaign. Players get special rules providing them with narrative authority that draws on their creativity, as well as crunch. Tabletop role-playing games also have a tactical element in which you make tricky decisions and hope for good dice rolls. 13th Age leans into the action of presenting players with battles where they have clear tactical decisions to make, and dice rolls really matter, while simplifying the ticky-tacky rules for distance and movement. Each class plays differently, and each monster delivers its own special challenge. To me, I think that is the biggest point that I look for in role-playing games is the NPCs, the adversaries that the player characters are going to face off against, what makes them unique. And don't make the uniqueness be I have to study the stat block with the various different attributes, where it's like, oh, well, you know, this creature here, their wisdom is 1 point lower than this creature. So obviously, no, it's not obvious. Tell me about the creature, right? It'd be like, all right. W4 says, I think I'll just get the SRD. They've noticed some have already started making a Nithis type database for Draw Steel. Probably a game I'm not going to have an opportunity to take a peek at. So just like, what is it, DC 20? Probably won't be seeing any coverage of that. I don't have any relationships with their creators or their publishers. So that's kind of why. It's not like it's like, oh, I don't want to see this. I don't want to look at that game. No, it's not that at all. It's just, yeah. You got to realize there are so many people out there who have absolutely no idea who I am, which, yeah, I don't blame them. All right, here's our example of play. The Priestess versus the Lich King. So it looks like our player characters are a demon killing strike team. So looks like we're creating a paladin. And her one unique thing. This is walking us through the character creation. As Reading Aid points out, this example of play is excellent. The best. Goes through character creation, combat, and downtime. Nice. So here's our character sheet. Well, if this uses the open game license, then a lot of this is going to be pretty par for the course, at least mechanically. So, Kevin R. Smith says, Matt Colville tends to avoid large conventions, which makes it hard for Jeff's usual methods of establishing relationships with companies and creators. You know, I don't know if that's really the case anymore. I think more people stumble across we like smaller publishers, stumble across a channel, just like, like Pelgrane Press. Pelgrane Press reached out to me. And I think it was more because they've got that new edition of Trail of Cthulhu coming out that they wanted me to check that out. But of course, with the new edition of 13th Age, they figured, okay, well, let's send Jeff a copy of that to take a peek at, to review. So this was not a situation where I ran into Pelgrane Press at a convention. So, gotta remember, there's also companies that I've worked with for over 10 years now. So sometimes when somebody leaves a company and goes someplace else, they also reach out. All right, so just getting an idea here. All right, so we've got Mooks. There we go. Mooks Jamokes. I threw the Jamokes in. So, looks as if in combat we will have Mooks. So I would think those are going to be fairly. What would be the way I would present? I don't say that it's like a swarm of characters, but they're probably one hit and they're down and out sort of characters. Spelling Mistake says they're looking forward to my thoughts on Trail of Cthulhu 2nd edition. They have 1E. Wonder if it's worth it to get the new version. I'm not sure when it comes out. I know it's close, but I'm thinking it might be summer. So I have not had an opportunity to take a peek at it yet. So here's our character creation. It says many elements of character creation in 13th Age will be familiar to F20 players. Don't they mean D20? No, I guess not. It says 13th Age's additions to the F20 heritage include the following ideas. Ability score bonuses can be applied as you like by all the kin. Your choice won't limit your class selection. Instead of choosing specific skills, you put points into broad backgrounds that can be used to assist a variety of skill checks. Character creation involves indie game style elements such as inventing one unique thing about your character and orienting your PC around relationships with the most powerful NPCs in the world, the demigod-like icons. So we've got our creation checklist. So we're going to generate our abilities. We've got our combat stats, our kin. Looks like we've got quite a few choices there. And then we've got our classes. Looks like all the standards are included with this. Barbarian, Bard, Paladin, Ranger, Rogue, Sorcerer, Wizard. So we've got Strength, Constitution, Dexterity, Wisdom, Intelligence, and Charisma. We're all pretty familiar with that. Oh, F20 is Robin Law's name for any fantasy genre D20-based game. Thank you. Firepart Creature is joining us tonight. I believe it might be a first-time visit with us here in chat, so welcome aboard. Glad you've joined us tonight. So everything's looking pretty standard open game license so far. So we have physical defense. So we have armor class and physical defense. Is physical defense a way for you to soak damage? It says physical defense PD is based on how strong, tough, and agile you are. Rely on it to protect you from many different forms of elemental and energy damage, including dragon breath, fireballs, and poison. And then we have mental defense. So I guess these are like saves. Got our initiative, recoveries, and recovery dice. So each class has a different recovery die. And then we get into our kin. So we've got our species, our heritages, our races. Artwork looks pretty solid throughout. So we've got a few different types of elves. We've got Trollkin. Dragonic. Also known as Dragon Spawn. Tieflings. And then we get into our classes. Ease of play. Below you'll find an assessment of the classes running from simplest to most complex. The difficulty spectrum isn't as clearly defined as it was in first edition because some of the simpler classes have new options. So it's saying the Paladin's the easiest. If we're going from the easiest to the most complex, so then I would think our magic, of course, our magic users. So the Bard is the most difficult? Huh. Okay. Then it says 6 classes from 13 true ways, or at least as complicated as the improv-heavy wizard, so as the demonologist in Book of Demons. So seeing that would lead me to think that the other supplements for 13th Age are still going to be compatible with this new edition. Kind of cool. Nathaniel Karras, or it's Nathan L. Karras. Well, we'll just say Nathan. Says, hey, looks like I could chat now. Says it blocked them for a while, even though they've been a subscriber. That's weird. Good old YouTube. Gotta love it. So you have keys to attack, spells, and powers. Each character class has its own list of talents, powers, maneuvers, and spells to choose from, as well as level progression that maps access to the list. We're going to look at several of the most common elements of attack, spells, and powers before we dive into the details of specific classes. Interesting. We'll start with a key to the spells and powers using the examples of the Cleric's Cure Wounds spell, the Barbarian's Barbarian Basic Melee Attack, and the Sorcerer's Lightning Fork Attack spell. So we've got A is the name, B is our flavor text. So Lightning Fork, flavor text is lightning would rather be cut loose than controlled. Then we have C as our keyword line. So Lightning Fork is ranged spell, 1 arc, and is a chain spell with an asterisk. D would be our targets. So target for the Lightning Fork is 1 nearby enemy. We have the attack line. It is charisma plus level versus PD. So I guess you're not using armor class all the time. Okay. The next thing we have is hit. So here it says 14 4d6 lightning damage. What happens on a miss is damage equal to your level times 3. Okay. So does that mean if you miss, that's the damage that you're going to do to like somebody nearby, one of your allies? I don't know. So then we've got H is effect. I is level by level improvements. And J is feats. So we've got the lightning fork, we've got the cure wounds, and then we have the barbarian basic melee attack. So not every one of these is going to have each and every one of those letters. So as an example, the barbarian basic melee attack does not have any flavor text. Fire Part Creature says, miss just means you did not hit the target where you wanted, but you still hit the target. Aha. Okay. Kevin R. Smith says, bards can be complicated because of having a bunch of special abilities and spells. See the Pathfinder 2nd Edition bard with spells, and focus compositions. All right. So then we're going to get into some more rules here, right? Yep. So we haven't gotten into our classes yet. Now we'll get into our classes. So we've got our barbarian. So we got 10 levels here. Yep. 10 levels. And it appears that we have quite a few pages devoted to each of the classes. So we've got our bards. Bards are magical, musical, playful, helpful, and tricky. Bards are flexible characters with many options in role-playing situations and in combat. They're not the best character choice for beginning players, but they can be a lot of fun for experienced or extroverted players who enjoy mastering different types of abilities. All right. That's quite a bit. Wow, we're still on the bard. We had about 10 pages there. Now, granted, it's showing us different various like instruments and stuff like that. So then it shows, I wonder if these are subclasses. So that's a song master. All right, so then we get into our cleric. So that's 6, 8, 10, 12, 14, 16 pages devoted to the cleric. Now, granted, we've got tables and things like that in here. I get it. So it looks like there's some discussion about Paizo and Paizo's prices. Yeah. Spelling Mistake says it's mostly that they're annoyed because they want to blame the increase on their staff unionizing. Yeah. I just shared a news piece earlier in the show, and the remastered edition of Dark Archive, it's 224 pages, I think it was. And the price on it is $64.99. The reality is, as far as Paizo goes, I think you're looking at, for many people who want to stick with Pathfinder, they're probably going to start going the path of the PDF. Because a lot of times their core books, they had a core book. It was like, if I remember right, it was like $79.99 or something like that. But in PDF, it was still $19.99. And a lot of times with their kind of major books that come out, that's what they do. They'll price it at $19.99. I did not get an opportunity to see what that PDF price for Dark Archive Remastered is. So we got our fighter here. So it looks like we have different tiers as well. So these are champion tiers. So it looks like you're a champion through 5th level. Well, maybe not, because here we still have 7th and 9th. I say thee nay. The effect is you roll your attack at the same time the enemy rolls their attack. If your natural attack roll is equal to or higher than the enemy's natural attack roll, you attack first, interrupting their attack and possibly canceling it if you slay them. If your natural attack roll is lower than theirs, your attack is canceled and this maneuver is expended. All right. Well. W. Forge says, instead of putting a recommended minimum age requirement on game books, they should put a minimum salary requirement. Spelling Mistake says, yeah, sadly for us book lovers, digital is probably a higher profit margin for companies. Oh, yeah. Oh, most definitely. So we have, it does look like we have different tiers. So we had champion tier, adventurer tier. Here we have epic tier talents. We'll have to dig into that when I do my review. I would think the different tiers are essentially just determining the kind of power level of your characters and the sorts of adventures that are going on. So I know they're talking about the icons of the game setting. That's kind of cool. Sorcerer there. So I noticed we have different spells. I'm wondering if those spells are specific to those classes. And then we're going to have like a grimoire of different spells. In fact, no, this is the wizard we're looking at. I was just about to say, oh, look, it's a grimoire right here. But it's not. These are the wizard spells. Huh. Okay. I'm curious about this. I really am. I will say it does look like it's got a bit of crunch, which is fine. I don't really have an issue with that. I don't mind complexity if it brings something to the table. There are role-playing games out there where there's just additional levels of complexity that seemingly are simply there to make the game feel like it's different. But then in the reality, it makes the game nigh unplayable. All right, so these are our icons. We got the Archmage. Says they are the icon with the most arcane power. He makes a great icon for wizards, for unique creators of his godlike experiments, and for heroes tasked with holding civilization together despite its enemies and its internal contradictions. He has also threatened the fabric of reality with experiments you'd have to be brilliant or hugely arrogant to attempt. So I sort of had the feeling that the player characters are supposed to get into kind of a relationship with their icon. So they have some sort of connection with the big major movers and shakers in this game setting. So we've got the Crusader. We've got the Diabolist. The Dwarf King. The Elf Queen. The Emperor. The Emperor is the icon with the greatest temporal authority. He makes a great patron for heroes who fight to defend civilization. The Great Gold Worm and your hero. So this is the Great Gold Worm. Yep, there you go. This is the only reason you're reading this rule book about the 13th age is that demons from the hells beyond the abyss failed to overrun the worlds ages ago. And the only reason the worlds were not overrun is that the great gold worm sacrificed his very body to serve as a physical and metaphysical barrier against the demons and the hells below. Forced to remain at the bottom of the abyss to maintain the divine seal, the great gold worm connects with his followers through dreams, prayers, mystical visions, rituals, ideals, and the extremity of violence wielded against demons. The great gold worm is an ideal icon for paladins and other heroes who value ideals above personal safety. Though he is trapped in the abyss, he remains always at your side. Kevin R. Smith says you get to pick a certain number of icon relationships at character creation. We've got the High Druid, the Lich King. I would think this would be an icon for evil characters. I don't know. The Lord of the Undead, a fallen tyrant who intends to conquer the Dragon Empire and restore his ancient kingdom. He's not entirely unhinged and sometimes understands that ruling a kingdom is not the same as destroying it. Okay. The Orc Lord. The Orc Lord is dead, and that's good news. That said, the chaos he brought to the Dragon Empire outlives him. Your campaign might well involve handling the aftermath of his war against civilization. Got the Priestess. So we got a pretty big section about the icons here. Prince of Shadows. The three primordial dragons are straightforward villains whose servants and spawn are found everywhere, from the doomed caverns of the underworld to the floating cities of the overworld, and from imperial courts to barbarian hinterlands. Players love to connect their heroes negatively to the three. Yeah, okay, I see that. There you go. Fireheart Creature points out, as Reading Aid also pointed out, you can have negative relationships with that icon. We got some folks in chat who know their 13th age. Very nice. Very cool. Gonna keep me on my toes when I do my review. Are these little adventure nuggets? Looks like it. My nomies, my torturers. Okay. I think we still have the combat rules coming up. There we go. Using a combat connection. And there's the combat rules. Our combat system plays fast. Tactical choices are straightforward and significant, and every die roll matters. The system's clarity and flexibility make it easy for players to improvise and elaborate on the campaign's storyline, even as the characters are fighting for their lives. Here's a summary of what each section of the combat chapter covers. Combat sequence, combat actions, special actions, attacks, damage and healing, mooks, which are rules for minor monsters that are affected by damage differently than other creatures, death and dying, rest and recharge, combat modifiers, special attacks and effects, and honorable combat option. All right. So we've got opportunity attacks. Engaged or unengaged. Well, if you're in melee combat, you're engaged. If you're not in melee combat, I think you're not engaged, even if you're involved in ranged combat. We'll find out, though. Crits, critical hits, fumbles. Okay, damage on a miss. This is what I was kind of curious about. Many heroes' attacks and some monsters' attacks deal damage on a miss. If nothing is noted, then a miss deals no damage. This damage represents minor wounds or the opponent becoming distracted or off balance or getting singed. If an attack deals damage of a certain type when it hits, damage dealt with a miss is the same type. Damage bonuses don't apply to attacks that deal miss damage unless the bonus specifies that it adds to miss damage. Most damage bonuses only apply to hits. For example, the Elven Adventurer tier feat, Heritage of the Sword, provides a +2 damage bonus to some adventure tier elves using swords, but that damage bonus doesn't apply to most missed attacks. Similarly, a champion tier magic sword that has attack and damage bonuses of +2, don't add that bonus to missed damage when you deal missed damage equal to your level with a missed melee attack. Okay. Talking about stacking, bonuses accumulate or stack. Here we've got the mooks. So it says, so I guess these are kind of mobs, swarms. So you've got your mook hit points. And when an individual mook takes damage, if they accumulate enough damage to kill the mook, one is killed and the leftover damage is applied to the next mook. There you go. Okay. All right. And then we got healing. I thought maybe we were in a new section, but it's not. It's still combat. So we had random directions, teleportation. Then we have our appendices, character options. Got an index and glossary. I like when we see an index / glossary. It's sort of like, oh, okay, yeah, that's all I needed to know. And then if you want to learn more, well, there you go. There's the page you can find that out. And then we got our character sheets. And then the back of our character sheet. So I guess for the most part, all the rest of the rules are going to be in the Game Master Guide. Okay. Interesting. I think the Game Master Guide's about 250 pages. This was, what did we finally come out with? Of course, those aren't numbered. Why would you number that? That makes life too easy for me. So 315. Oh, okay. Page numbers are up top. So I had heard 348 and 350. It's actually 330 is the page count on this. All right. So that is a peek inside the 13th Age 2nd edition Heroes Handbook from Pelgrane Press. This is, I do believe it's available now. So you can pick this up as part of the slipcase set, which includes the Heroes Handbook, Game Master's Guide, and the GM screen that carries an MSRP of $129.95. If you want to just get this separately by itself, it is $59.95. I think it includes a PDF, not positive. And then if you want to just get the PDF, you can do so over at DriveThruRPG for $34.95. We're going to take a look at the Game Master's Guide on Thursday. All righty. And of course, I will have a review of this in the not too distant future. Very cool. Like I said, I'm very curious about this. Even though it's open game license, it seems like it's got a lot to make it unique. So we will find out. We shall see. Tomorrow, we're going to dive on in. We're going to take a look at Original Adventures Reincarnated, Volume 9, Caverns of Thracia. This is the 5e conversion from Goodman Games. We're going to dive on in, take a peek at this. And then on Thursday's show, we'll take a look at the 13th Age 2nd edition Game Master's Guide. Got to say, a week from today, I'm not positive if there will be a show, because on Wednesday, I'll be flying to Philadelphia for the Philadelphia Area Gaming Expo, where I'm a special guest doing interviews and live interviews, actually, from the exhibit hall floor. Supposed to have an area set up for us to do interviews. I will be doing interviews from 10 a.m. till 12 noon. That is going to be Eastern time. I almost said Central time. It's like, no, it's Eastern time. So by all means, pop on over to the page and check those out. I am not sure if we're going to have a live chat available. I would hope so. So I'm kind of in the dark on certain things, but I do know who I've got set up for interviews. Some pretty interesting folks. I talked about them earlier when we started the show. Renegade says, I have to go to Page next year. I hear it's a great con, not too far from me. Well, we're going to find out. Elliot and I are going. So Elliot is coming along. Well, and the reality is, if it was just going to be me, I don't know if I'd have gone, because we're not driving, we're flying there. So I don't know, go to a convention that I've never been to a city I've driven through like twice, never stopped in. I don't know if I would want to, fly that solo. It's like, I go to Gamehole Con. It's like, if there's a problem, I'm just like, just jump in the car and go home. Wouldn't be able to do that. Anyway, so Kevin R. Smith says, follow-up video, Jeff's review of Page. Yeah, I'll talk about that. I will talk about it when I get back. So like I said, I'm not positive if we'll have a show a week from today, simply because I have to be over by Elliot's at like 9:30 in the morning the next day. We'll see. We'll see what happens. I'd say it's probably, right now, it's 50-50. But that's next week. We got shows this week. It's all that matters right now. All righty then. That is it for this time out. If you like the video, by all means, please give it a quick thumbs up. Subscribe to the Gaming Gang channel if you haven't already. And if you do subscribe, don't forget, ring that bell, because it'll not only let you know when the Dispatch streams live Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday evenings right here on YouTube. It'll also inform you when I share other videos, such as my recent review of Vaesen Mythic Carpathia from Free League Publishing. Yes, that was another of my reviews that was part of the Gaming Gang 12 Days of Reviews. As was Dungeons Deep from Cobalt Press. You got a good number of reviews to check out if you haven't checked them out yet. If you're watching live, thank you very much. If you watched live and took part in chat, bigger thank you. You get a tip of the cap too, because not only were you keeping me company, you're also keeping each other company. But of course, I know a lot of folks out there, you don't have an opportunity to watch live. Doesn't matter if you're watching live or on Memorex. Thank you for taking time out to watch any of the over 2,300 videos here on the Gaming Gang channel. So every time I say that number, I'm like, yowza. Everybody enjoy the rest of your morning, afternoon, evening, whatever time of day it is in your neck of the woods. I'll be back tomorrow. Once again, we're going to take a peek at the Caverns of Thracia. I'm looking forward to this. I really am. I actually have never checked this out. The original adventures, I have never taken a peek at. So this will be my first exposure to the Caverns of Thracia in any way, shape, or form. Happy New Year, everybody. Once again, I'm Jeff McAleer. And as always, I certainly hope each and every one of you get to enjoy plenty of great gaming with your gang.